Hello, welcome to Frankie and Ryan Cooking Show.
Yes, we have a cooking show today.
Today our menu would be nasi goreng saham.
Goreng bursa. What kind of ingredients are we using today?
Well, anyways, that was just a joke, right? Yeah, we are still going to go for our weekly roundup today. And again, as usual, special thanks to the coffee break to help us to bring all the spicy news that we have throughout the whole week.
Subscribe if you want to stay updated to local and global news. So the last round when you have subscribed using the Copy Facts code, we saw great responses. I want to give away again 250 ringgit ZUS Coffee vouchers for subscribers who subscribe to the coffee break using the link below. Remember to subscribe and stand a chance to win RM50 ZUS voucher.
Alright, so why did we bring out this frying pan?
I mean, it's been such a busy week in KLCI, a busy week for BURSA as well. So yeah, let's get into the main topic of the news.
Yes, correct. So at the beginning of January, I think the Malaysian market started pretty well. It shot up 1,500 points. I think everyone was quite excited about it. In fact, I also saw some momentum coming from retail investors going into the market. But not sure whether they feel that BURSA Malaysia is a scam again, because this week there's a lot of drama going on in the market.
It certainly feels like it lah, because first of all, we've got like the three companies I think that was in the limelight since last week itself was Rapid Synergy, YNH Property, and also Emas Pro, Copperheart, right? These counters, why were they in the news or why were they in the spotlight? Because they had back-to-back limit downs.
Yeah.
And I think especially for the case for Rapid and YNH, I think Emas Pro not too bad, but they were linked, right?
Well, first of all, maybe we should explain what is limit down first. So on BURSA Malaysia, there's this mechanism to protect investors, whereby if a stock suddenly dropped by 30% in a single trading session, then BURSA Malaysia would actually trigger a trading halt on the shares. The reason for that is for the market to cool down and calm down to think what really happens. And then after that, then only they will restart the trading again. So this mechanism will kick in every time a stock drops by 30%.
30% is for those above 1 ringgit.
Above 1 ringgit. If the share price is below 1 ringgit, then the fluctuation is 30 cents.
Yeah.
So that's the limit down mechanism on BURSA Malaysia. And most of the time, when companies trigger that limit down mechanism, BURSA Malaysia will come and issue an unusual market activity query lah.
What is unusual market activity?
Hey bro, what's going on with your shares, man? Why suddenly go down by 30%? That's usually the query lah.
Yeah. It's the UMA, it's also known as UMA. It's actually meant to protect the investors as well, because it raised an alert that, hey, this company, the regulator is coming and said, hey, guys, there is this company that has limit down. We need to find out why. We want to get the latest information. Were there any undisclosed news that were not being shared to the public that resulted in limit downs?
Correct.
Right?
So Ryan, what happened on Monday and Tuesday?
So Monday and Tuesday, Rapid Synergy, YNH Property, SCIB, all saw limit downs Monday and Tuesday, back to back. On Wednesday, we have Aerotrain, Mercury Securities, also saw limit down. Liform, 28.5 cent, almost limit down. On Thursday, Vidat, Jentayu, Silver Ridge, limit down. Tanko, 27%, almost limit down. So I don't think I've invested or I've taken note of the stock market in the past 4 to 5 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's either I haven't been paying attention or this is just...
limit down from time to time, we will see it in the market. But the thing here is that suddenly within 1 week, so many companies go limit down.
Yeah.
So what is actually going on there? So in the case of Rapid, YNH and Emas Pro Corp, these three companies, they are somewhat connected to this individual called Dr. Yu Kwan Chun. And he responded to BURSA Malaysia's UMA. Both Rapid and YNH, they clarified that their management were currently considering proposals to sell certain landed properties of the companies, while Emas Pro said that there was no corporate development in the company that has been previously announced. So then the question is, right, selling land or selling certain assets in the balance sheet is not to say something that is very unusual to a business.
Normal practice lah.
It's just normal practice. I mean, sometimes if you think, wow, if the land value suddenly appreciate too high, I want to sell to lock in some profit.
Yeah.
Or let's say it is a non-core asset, then I may want to dispose it, use the money to fund my other business ventures. So sometimes it can be good news. So in this case, I don't know why, if that is the real reason that people are selling the shares, what is the justification behind this, right? That is something that until now I still cannot understand.
So something must be brewing that the public doesn't know, right?
Anyways, collectively, these three counters lost a staggering 3.35 billion ringgit in market value over a 6 days period. So from Dr. Yu's perspective himself, personally, he has become poorer by 857.7 million ringgit. Yeah.
So when it comes to listing, right, there's also a lot at stake. It's not just, oh yeah, you get the glamour, you have a listed co, but at the same time, your personal net worth can also be at stake, right? When there are adverse news or there are adverse market activities happening.
Yeah. So the other counter that suffered a limit down was actually SCIB.
Yep.
Now, SCIB in the past, they have suffered a lot of drama in terms of their management, in terms of the business and things like that. But subsequently, I think they are trying to revive the confidence of the market. So the share price actually went up quite steadily over the past, I think, 6 months or so. It hit a 3-month high of RM1.19 in 2024. But subsequently, suddenly on Tuesday last week, share price went limit down to close at 83.5 cents.
This SCIB used to be related to Serba.
Serba Dynamic.
BURSA also issued a UMA, right? Busy week for BURSA, folks at BURSA, right? So they queried the limit down. Then SCIB actually responded saying that it is in talks with the Sarawak state government over a potential land acquisition.
Again, same problem. You buy land, it's to develop the land, make more money and stuff like that. So why is it that when you buy a new piece of land, the share has to go down, right? Anyways, there are new joiners to the list. Aerotrain and Mercury Securities. Both of these companies went limit down this week as well. Mercury lost 384 million in market cap, and both companies also received a UMA from BURSA Malaysia, right? And surprisingly, when I look into the news, right, SCIB, Aerotrain, APB, these companies, they have similarities.
They all also were heavily sold
They were
on
correct.
Wednesday itself, right?
Correct. They were heavily sold is one commonalities. There's also one commonalities in terms of the corporate structure, right? These companies, they all have similar common directors. And these individuals are Ki Wee Hong, Koo Chong Hong, and Kang Wei Lun. They all hold director positions in these entities. So if you tie these whole dots together, I'm not sure whether the drop in terms of share price have something to do with these three individuals.
It's a domino effect
probably.
Likely a domino effect.
Yeah. And because these three companies got sold off so badly, right? APB Resources, if you recall, back in December 2023, they acquired slightly more than 10.4% stake in a Penang-based semiconductor manufacturer, Globetronics, for 140 million ringgit cash. And because APB Resources suffered a limit down, it somehow also dragged down Globetronics' share price as well. But not sure whether it has to do with the fundamentals of Globetronics or simply because people are just
related related party
Yes, correct. Interestingly, just now we talked about how Globetronics is related to APB Resources. There's one company that is somehow related to APB Resources. This company is Press Metal Berhad. So Press Metal Aluminium Holdings Berhad's co-founder, Datuk Kun Potat, he emerged as APB Resources' single largest shareholder in June last year after he bought a 5.72% stake in APB Resources. So as a result of that, Press Metal share price also took a hit.
From your experience, right, Frankie, any reasons why is there a cascading effect here? So we're not speculating, by the way, but just from your experience, like when this kind of scenario happens, what usually is going behind? Is it a margin call, or is it a directors or shareholders? This major shareholders, are they pledging their shares that has caused the sell-off?
Right. First of all, it is quite uncommon to see so many shares to go limit down all at the same time.
Yep. Adverse news like factory burn down or like major contract cut off.
Right.
Common, right? Those are things common, right?
Yeah. So news report has said that all these companies have all these similarities in terms of their board composition and all that, common shareholders and whatnot. I do not rule out the possibilities that all this sell down has got to do with these individuals, but it's it's not for me to make a conclusion, right? Ultimately, we still need to wait for the news to report more things.
Yep.
So that we all get informed about what's actually happening in these companies.
That's why subscribing to the newsletter, the Coffee Break, is important. That gets you stay informed. So on Thursday itself, like I mentioned earlier, VDAT Group, Berhad, which is involved in construction activities and integrated facilities management, also joined the list of companies that had received a UMA, right, on the sharp fall of its share price. Hit limit down on Thursday, down 30 cents or 61% to a low of 19 cents. It's lower since 2015. Tenko Holdings Berhad again saw similar quantum, 26.7% after the opening bell on Thursday morning itself. So it's again this. I think a lot of news, like you said, a lot of news still needs to come up then for us to understand what is actually really happening, right? It's to the point where brokers are actually demanding cash up front for the purchase of several stocks that we have mentioned earlier.
They cannot use margin anymore.
Enough with all the limit downs. Let's talk about something that's more uplifting, which is the Aerotrain, our international airport. We know if you've been traveling to KLIA, you have to take buses because the Aerotrain is down, right? But based on the announcement by Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, the new consortium has been formed, consisting of Alstom Transport Systems, Malaysia Sdn Berhad, IGM Construction, Sdn Berhad, and Pest Technology Sdn Berhad. Right, they will be completing the project, and it should be up and running by the first quarter of 2025.
Oh, that's good news, but we still need to wait for more than a year.
Yes. Alstom and Pestec were actually original contractors of the project, but MHB terminated the project in August 2023 last year due to Pestec being behind schedule. Yep. Right, and the new contract is expected to cost 456 million, 15% higher than the original, in order for the project to meet timeline.
Hey, this Aerotrain is not a very long track, right? It's just from one building to the other building.
To the satellite building, one to the main terminal, to the satellite building.
Yeah,
correct.
And you need 456 million to build that track. Okay.
Yeah, so only in Malaysia that you can fill upwards in that sense. You fill a project and yet you get a pay raise, right? But also to note that IGM Corp Berhad actually acquired a major stake in Pestec International Berhad for 124 million last year as well, right? So I think that's why the consortium was also involved in an IGM entity. So why did IGM acquire the major share was reason because of Pestec's presence in about 20 countries and the expertise it has actually garnered in rail electrification and signaling over the years. So it makes it an appealing prospect for IGM to take over, right? For them to take on projects like this, right?
Pestec was actually one of the darling stocks back in, let's say, around 2016 to 2019 because, this part of the world, this region, we're talking about electrification, all this Indo-China area, a lot of all these places, they are still very rural and they don't have access to electricity. And by Pestec going into those countries, it is actually a growth story for them, right? Yeah, but what happened is that in January last year, Pestec's top brass were investigated and charged by MACC. But while the charges were eventually dropped, but that left Pestec in the bad books.
Yeah, because for them to start a case or investigation itself, it has to have some evidence or some crux or some prima facie, right?
Moving on to something that is closer to our daily lives. Recently, our electric tariff has gone up, right, since January, if I'm not mistaken. And starting February 1st, another utility bill is going to go up as well. Our water bill is going to increase by an average of 22 cents per cubic meter across states in Peninsular Malaysia and Labuan.
So households will see a bill charge increase of RM1.60 to RM8 based on household usage of 20 cubic meters per month, right? But according to the National Water Services Commission Chairman Charles Santiago, this is still actually below the average cost of providing treated water, which is at RM1.75 per cubic meter. So the tariff structure for water supply in Malaysia is actually standardized under the tariff setting mechanism. This mechanism, implemented for states on the peninsula and Labuan, involves a review every 3 years just to maintain consistency in determining the fees. The increase in the water tariffs, what will happen is it will impact about 6.9 million domestic users, which is constituting about almost 90% of all account holders.
Yeah, so not so bad compared to electricity, right? Electricity, the tariff is being reviewed every 6 months. This one, at least it is once every 3 years. So after 1st of February, yes, the bill will be more expensive, but it will stay there hopefully for the next 3 years until the next review.
Hopefully we will get no more water cuts. Few water cuts because you're gonna take that money, you better be put to good use, like improve
Right.
infrastructure, improve service, right? But to be fair, like some of these service providers, like Pengurusan Air Pahang, Berhad, have not actually revised their domestic water tariffs for 40 years. Penang has not revised for 31 years. But good thing for Penang is, so they are also going to provide a money rebate for B40 households, right? B40 households with more than 8 people with household income of lower than 2,250 will get this money rebate in their water bills. So last week was also MADANI hard at work actually last week, right? So they launched AI for Rakyat. Not Ibrahim for it, not Prime Minister, but artificial intelligence program for people to learn. Right, it's a 4-hour online course to close the digital literacy gap among Malaysians. So if you're interested to learn about AI, check it out. I think I've seen some comments. It's actually very basic, but I guess it's a good introductory course. Like if you don't know what AI is and how it impacts our lives, where do we use AI and whatnot.
A 4-hour online course. I think this is a good initiative, but the problem would be how many people would actually log in and finish the course.
Yeah, 4 hours is a bit long. It's a bit long for a course.
Number one is long. Number two, the comments that you have seen that it is very introductory. Probably after you finish the course also can't really add value to your lives. So yeah.
The intent is to build interest. So let's see what kind of interest in garner. But this is a first step. I think good on the government to sort of want to bridge this gap in literacy, right? But if you talk about 4 hours, then your internet also you have to browse for 4 hours, right? That's also going to be issue for maybe the B40 lah.
Yeah.
Right.
But good start. Hopefully from here they can come up with different modules for more advanced kind of courses. Then from there it can really upskill Malaysian to be more tech savvy.
Yeah. Another good news that the government announced last week was the capital gains tax will be exempted until 2028. This is in a bid to make capital markets more rakyat friendly lah.
More rakyat friendly.
Is it really rakyat or not? Or really rakyat, or is it the T20? So the finance minister too, Amir Hamzah Azizan, actually announced that the government agreed to exempt this CGT as well as the taxes on foreign source income on unit trusts. The exemption on CGT will last until 2028, whereas on the exemption on foreign source income on unit trusts will last until 2026. Right. But the gains from the disposal of unlisted shares by companies are still subject to taxes, like what they proposed last year. On the workers' front, there's also good news in a way, like that Stephen Sim as a HR minister is really stepping in and trying to solve a lot of issues that the country faces, right?
We talked about this last week, right?
Yes, we talked about this last week, but I think this time around he also stressed that you need to pay your workers, right? So it's about, I think, the Pengerang, the foreign workers that didn't have had to walk to the police station to lodge report. What he said out of that was that some of the employers then claim, but the workers have no work, that's why we can't afford to pay them. But I mean, what Stephen Sim is saying is that, too bad, pay your workers despite there's no work to be done because you have brought them in, you've offered them a job, right? If you know what to be done, you find work for them to do.
So kasihan all these people, they come all the way from Bangladesh and then hoping that they can get a job, make a good living, but at the end of the day, they are stranded here in Malaysia. So I think this is a good effort to actually help all these people as well, right? Okay, last news that we have here. Let's go zoom out a bit. Let's talk about something overseas, right? In China, I think this is music to the Chinese ear, is that iPhones is going to be cheaper over there.
iPhones
is going to be cheaper.
No way, we never get discounts from Apple.
Yeah, how come Malaysia don't have Apple?
You guys will open an Apple store soon, right?
Yeah, but the reason for that is because competition in China is so tough that Apple couldn't tahan the pressure, right? So they decided to cut the retail prices of some iPhones, something that it hasn't done in many, many years. And the prices cut is also not little bit, It's 5% or up to 500 yuan, Chinese yuan.
I mean, it's just bizarre to see Apple doing this.
But for big brands like that, when they cut prices, sometimes it's not a good PR. So how they do it is that they say this is a discount for Chinese New Year, right? So it is for a limited time only for Chinese people. If you want to buy iPhone, you get the 500 yuan discount. But fundamentally speaking, right, if you look at Apple's latest iPhone 15 sales in China, it's actually doing very bad compared to the previous models.
I think if you're churning out the same or more or less similar phones over the few years, what are you expecting? Right? Because iPhone 13 or 14 users don't really have to upgrade to an iPhone 15. It's more or less the same.
Correct.
And there's no technological advances over iPhones in a few years, except for USB-C. That is the latest in the iPhone 15, right? And you've got brands like Xiaomi, Huawei, which are also starting to catch up and offer the competitive models, right? And Android phones today are quite good, and at a lower price, at a more they're not cheap anymore. They used to be cheaper relatively cheaper compared to Apple, but no longer. The days are gone where
You can get a phone for 1,000 ringgit or so.
Yeah. You can get a very mid-tier phone, but you want to go for the top end? Not anymore. You used to be able to, but not anymore.
So according to an analyst report, he did a research. He compared the iPhone sales in the first week of 2024 and the first week iPhone sales in 2023, January 2023. And he noticed that the sales collapsed 30% on a year-on-year basis. Yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons why Apple decided to do this campaign, right? And why this drop is probably because, if you recall, not long ago, some companies and government departments, they have been limiting their workers to use Apple products, so to speak.
It's US and China lah.
Yeah lah.
What's happening in US and China? So I think US they banned their federal government staff from using TikTok. Because it's a Chinese app.
Correct.
Right.
So the tech war continues. But nonetheless, that's all we have for this week's weekly roundup. If you miss out this episode, don't forget to catch us on Spotify. We are now on Spotify. It's called the Weekly Roundup by the FAQ Show. So go and check it out, and hope to see you guys again next week.